Hello and welcome to another episode of the Self-Made Podcast. In this episode, we delve a little bit more into the fitness side and talk about what we do. We talk about, in this episode, the dumb shit personal trainers do. What do we see happen on the gym floor? What do we see on social media that is not actually serving the community they're trying to help? What are the things that are putting clients, potentially you listening to this, in danger? And then we go in and reflect on our careers, talk about the things that we've done that are dumb. I know there's many stories where I've done things I look back on now and shudder, and there's a few that Robb has done as well, and we break down those, what we've learned, why it was stupid, and what to be careful of when you walk into a gym. Or if you're a personal trainer looking at this, what are the things that maybe you've not thought of, that you're not actually giving your client the best return on their investment? As always, if you enjoy the show, please share on social media tagging myself and Robb, and give us a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from, and I will leave you with myself and Robb McGeary. Cool. So last week we obviously spoke and did a dry run through of your talk and how to get laid like Hugh Hefner. Since then, you've done your talk, you've donned the outfit, you've got in front of how many people was it?
It was at least 100. Someone said 150. I don't have a final count, but it was at least 100.
Was it as scary as you thought it was going to be?
The weirdest thing was, I wrote about this to my email list, that I practiced the night before, the morning, I just went through my opener. I was waiting all week for a night where I wouldn't sleep and I would dream about it all going wrong, something like that. Never came. Came to the day. Obviously, we're focused on stuff in the morning, goal setting, reviewing the quarter, talking to people we haven't seen for a while, all that stuff. So it never really, I thought, I'm not nervous because I'm focused on this other stuff. The 10 minutes beforehand, we were at the back of the room, the six of us that were going to speak, and I'm still going, I feel all right. Maybe this is what confidence feels like. You know? I get on stage, I do my opening line, and my left hand, which is holding the clicker. If you watch me, my right hand's got the microphone, and I hold it like an MC the entire 15 minutes. I don't hold it like a presenter, I hold it like an MC. My left hand was literally, I could not stop it. This full-on shaking. And I'm like, do my opener. There's a little break where I take my costume off. And it's still going. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Am I that nervous? What is going on? But I remembered 90% of my lines. There's only a couple of things I missed out, which I'm not going to kick myself. I worked well with the slides. There was a couple of moments where the slides weren't moving, but it was fine. It's a new talk. I moved around. I come across as confident. The little bit of video footage I've watched back, you can't see my hand doing anything, so it's cool. And my face, I don't seem to change. It's like I've been Botoxed. But people know I'm from Essex. I assume I've done that anyway. So it looks like I'm Botoxed. My left hand's going with it. Other than that, it was cool. Like nothing went wrong. I weren't that nervous. Afterwards, once I got off, my energy plummeted. Absolutely crashed. It was tough to stay focused for the rest of the afternoon. Once the six guys had finished and we sat down again, like it really took, for 15 minutes, it really took it out of me.
How soon were you in the six guys? Like you first, second?
I was first on. I was first on. So I went into it with the mentality of, right, let's set the standard. I mean, we weren't directly in competition with each other or anything like that. And there was guys a lot nervous than me, but everyone absolutely killed it. I made so many notes from what people were talking about. It was amazing.
What were some of the topics?
So you had, straight after me, was a guy, Ian Lambert. He's ran recently. He's done all sorts. He's broke all sorts of Guinness records, all sorts. Very, very recently, in the last couple of weeks, he did a 1,000-mile triathlon across the UK. His story was grueling. Like the training he's been through, the things he suffered. Absolutely incredible guy. So it was more about that and how he beats the excuses and challenges himself, puts himself out of his comfort zone. I'm going to forget all their names. There was Grant Brotherton. This is a guy, he's a fireman. He's high up in the fire service. He's made he owns 5 million in property, none of which included his own money. So he wasn't buying 3-figure properties. He's buying low figures, getting investors in, helping you with the conversions and things like that, and then renting it on or selling it on, that sort of stuff. Really, really interesting. His own personal life story was harrowing. Like, Geezer's been through a lot. So the main theme was all this stuff he's gone through, and he's still managed to get 5 million property. What's your excuse? It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
One of the guys in my accountability group, Craig Gillespie, was talking about creativity and not losing your 8-year-old creative edge, you know? Really, really good talk. Really good stuff. Mate, he could be a future
Very
guest.
keen.
He really,
Very
really
keen.
calm. The stuff, it really kind of hit you. Lots of things he said, you're like, oh, yeah. And it wasn't just applicable to business. It was applicable to your whole life. It's phenomenal. You had a guy called Robb Blackburn, amazing guy. He works with professional footballers on their mindset. So he had a lot of stories about limiting beliefs, outlook on life, overcoming struggles, owning up to the things that have gone wrong, or taking ownership of things that are going wrong. He had some great stories in him. Another guy, David Barnes, runs I think it's like a men's retreat type thing. I apologise if I'm getting that wrong. Again, kind of spoke about what he called habit hacking, was implementing the good habits into your life, trying to get the old habits out, reviewing what you're doing, like kind of similar stuff that we do already, but really, really good insight for the clients that he works with. And I feel like I'm forgetting someone, but I don't think I am. Maybe it was 5 of us and Paul Mort was the 6th because he did an extra one at the end as well.
Okay.
I think. Apologies, guys, if I'm forgetting any of you. But yeah.
So how did yours go? Going back to yours, so like you remembered your lines? I mean, what was the feedback like coming off stage from Paul and the rest of the group?
So thunderous applause. It was really liberating having that amount of fellas clapping up, because you get up there is a little bit of fear of judgment. Of course there is. It's only natural. One of the things Paul kept saying to us in trainings leading up to it is no one wants you to fail. No one wants you to get up there and do shit, because they're the ones that then got to sit through it. No one's sitting there going, I really hope he fucks up. Yes, he fucked up. No one. So everyone wants to either learn or not learn. Everyone wants to support you. You could really, really feel that. I got some laughs at the right points. I got no laughs at some points that I thought was really funny, but it's all good in the hood. Guys were making notes. Guys came up to me and asked questions afterwards on some things I'd recommended. I've had emails and Facebook messages and DMs since, guys, just for no other reason, just congratulating me and saying that was really, really cool, really powerful. Okay. Those bits get me a little bit emotional, because I'm like, you don't have to say anything. No one has to take out of their time out of their day to send you a message about the stuff that you did really, really well. But we talk about this a lot, that men don't big each other up enough. They don't congratulate each other. They don't push each other. We, reward kind of shitty behaviour, like going down to the pub, fantastic, well done, you're one of the lads, you're great. But in terms of someone doing a bit of self-development, self-improvement, we don't congratulate guys on that. So to get these messages was absolutely fucking phenomenal, because again, no one has to do that. So it was cool, man. And it's 100%. I got off, instantly thought, right, I didn't say this, didn't say that. But I didn't kick myself. I went, I want to do it again. I want to find another place to speak and get it right this time. So I'm on the hunt. One of my Q4 goals is 3, not including that one, 3 public speaking gigs. So I need to do my research on how I could do that.
Start nominating everyone here now. Well, if you give me sort of like a mission statement, send me a mission statement after this of what your talk is about. Everyone listen to this, go to the show notes. We'll put the mission statement in there and nominate Robb for a TED Talk.
Boom. There we go. Both of us, before the end of this year, are going to have done TED Talk.
Oh, mate, I haven't heard anything back from my application of nominating myself yet for TED Hong Kong. I might try again with a slightly different topic.
Yeah.
So I went down the weight loss topic and the systematic waste topic, but I thought, what could be a good story? And I was starting to look at the educational brand that I'm looking to build. And one of the sort of the pillars going through my offer, I was talking about, like, what is the pillar that I want to sort out? And the first one is eliminate imposter syndrome within the fitness industry. Because there are so many coaches that don't feel they're worth their weight in gold. And we'll go into this when we talk about Instagram, because they think that they're not good enough compared to all the people they see on their social media platforms. And I suffered this for years. And I remember having a Q&A. I probably talked about this before on the podcast, but a Q&A with some of the people at City. And someone asked me, shout out to Ryan, asked me, when do you feel that you got away from imposter syndrome? When do you feel you can get a result with everybody? And I went, everyone else was like, this is all, when this happened. And I was like, still waiting. Like, I don't ever really get a client and go, easy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've got a good track record of results. And I was like, what is the difference? Why? And it's at times where I feel that imposter syndrome's sort of taken over a little bit, and I've let it paralyze me by fear. But on the whole, I've reframed it in terms of I'm glad I have it. Because if I didn't have it, would I have invested so much time, energy, money into being better? Would I have done this podcast? Would I have wanted to speak to people to just find and learn new stuff? And I think that's the reframing that we don't do often enough, especially because imposter syndrome is now the buzzword of mindset and social media. There's this big negative thing we need to avoid. I'm like, yeah, but you'd also get no ambition.
Yeah, yeah.
I think.
And it's just kind of recognizing, all right, you're in this field and maybe your skills aren't elite level. But then what is elite level? And if we were to take the guys who we think are elite level and ask them, when did imposter syndrome stop? I don't know if they could give us a straight answer of an exact moment of when it stopped, because all those guys are still continuing their education. They're still upskilling. They're leveling up all the time. So I think we have this idea of when imposter syndrome disappears, that's when we can go, right, now I know my shit. And I think this is a problem with newer PTs to the industry, is they start getting whether they get results or not, is they start getting more confidence with themselves in the industry. That imposter syndrome disappears a little bit, and now suddenly the ego's there of, I know my shit. You've been in the industry, 3-4 years? Oh, you got a lot to learn yet, bruv.
I also think it's like, imagine that every time you got a paycheck, right? We took you out of your house, we put you in a room with people that had a higher paycheck. And this is what we talk about with imposter syndrome. You get guys that, like, when I was in Virgin Active, looking at where I wanted to be and looking at people that inspired me, I was looking up to men's health cover models and the people on Flex and like Kirk Miller. No disrespect to Kirk Miller, actually, because Kirk has gotten he wasn't terrible then, but he is advanced. He is one of the good guys in this industry for sure. Nice guy too. But I was looking at these people who were just mental health cover models, and then I then go to UP and I'm exposed to all these people that are really, really smart. And then I get to the rise the ranks there, and I come out, and now the people I compare myself to are Jordan Shallow, Luke Lehman, Pat Davidson, Milia Thompson. Out of those 4 people I've just mentioned, 3 of them have doctor next to their name. And nothing's changed. Like, I've gotten better, but the ceiling's also gotten higher. So I end up, you're still in that level of imposter syndrome. And if you don't reframe what it means to you, you're always going to feel inadequate. Yeah,
of course. And that's it. It's what it means. You have to recognize it's very, very rare that you're going to be top 1% in any field in your life for the majority of people. So in a way, you can label it as imposter syndrome, or you can just realize that there are people better than you. So you can strive to be as good as them, and you can strive to be more educational about what you're passionate about. Because I think another part of it is people get to this point where I used to see this a lot when I taught the PT course, is on day one. What are you here for? What's your motivations? What do you want to learn? What do you want to be? Like, why are you on the course? A little 10-minute presentation for everyone. And the amount of people would just say, I'm passionate about fitness. I want other people. And passion only gets you so far, you know?
I want to help people.
I want to help people.
Who are these people?
Yeah, who are these people? And when 90% of PTs on the course say that and only 10% pass on their first go of the exams, you're like, do you really want to help people? Because if you really wanted to help people, you'd have done the fucking work to pass the course so you can get out there and help people. And I haven't seen you open your book once. Okay, so you might be passionate about training, but you're not necessarily passionate about helping people.
Or their own training. I've seen people, there's some people are much more passionate their own training than they are other people's training. And I also think as well, going back to the imposter syndrome thing, and you were saying that you can aspire to be as good as these people you look up to. But the level of these people you look up to, in 90% of cases, has no bearing on the level of service you can give to the people you're helping. So if we take most PTs and they're looking at the PTs they look up to, they don't need to know as much as them. They need to know more than their client. It's like the Catch Me If You Can. Have you seen that with Leonardo DiCaprio? The real life story about the guy who was like, he ran lectures at university for years. And he goes, how did you learn all that? I just had the textbook and I read one chapter ahead. That's all you need to do. I mean, even me now, right? I'm now more working in an education space with trainers. Now, if you look at that, then you go, oh, maybe now Simon does have to be as good as a Jordan Shallow, a Luke Kleeman. And to a degree, from a marketing perspective, they are supposedly my competitors. It's weird to say that because I think I consider both of them as friends. But I also, when I look at that, I also go, I still don't need to know more than Jordan because good fucking luck. But I need to know more than the PT that's going to come and learn from me, which are probably more likely PTs that are 1 to 5 years in the industry, probably. I'm not taking doctors on.
No, exactly. And then you could argue, and I'm not arguing this, you could argue, well, if that's the case, then why would anyone go to you over Jordan Shallow? Not everyone's going to like Jordan Shallow. Not everyone's going to learn Jordan Shallow's style. This is why there needs to be continued progression of different educational providers, because you're not going to learn it all from one person. Like, you could learn a shit ton by going into the old Poliquin modules, but you're also going to get confused by a lot of stuff that's not really that relevant anymore. So suddenly we've got all these trainers that did loads and loads of Poliquin stuff and have taken the stuff that's more relevant for the general population, and you can go see those guys. But again, some of those guys are going to blow your mind of how they explain stuff. Like I watched, obviously, rest in peace to them now, but the muscle mentors, I would watch their educational stuff, and sometimes I'd be like, that's cool, I've got exactly what they mean there. And sometimes I'd be watching their videos and go, oh, what? Like, just didn't get it. But it could be something that someone else has explained in a certain way that whether it's tonality, whether it's just choice of words, or maybe it is just dumbing it down a little bit more for me. That suddenly explained it a hell of a lot better. But I also recognise that those guys spend a lot more time on their educational, their anatomy, their biomechanics, a hell of a lot more time than I ever do, and probably ever will. So therefore, it makes sense that if I want to learn more about this stuff, I've got two options. I go to the people that can explain it to me, or I spend way more time, effort, money, resources learning it myself to upskill. You just kind of, you're not jumping the queue as such, but you are just speeding the process up a little bit more. And you've got someone else to bounce ideas back off. You've got someone to give you direct feedback, and you've got someone with a proven what's the word I'm looking for? Proven catalogue of results and the knowledge there to back it up,
Exactly. And this is not me doing a plug for my upcoming education stuff. But if you do, follow Atkinson on Instagram, drop me a DM and we can talk about your personal training goals. But like that's my point of what I'm trying to do, in the sense of is I'm not there to teach somebody what prescript is. My there is I'm placing myself as the bridge between these things, where I will teach the personal trainer, or I give you a solid working knowledge of everything you need to know, and I will one-to-one hold your hand and help you apply this with all your clients. And then I will literally say, go and do prescript if you want to learn more about stuff, because now Jordan gets more educated trainers going through his course.
Love it.
And has that referral system. And that's where I place. And going into muscle mentors, this is where we're getting more shout-outy as we go through these episodes. We're clearly becoming nicer, more lovable people. But this is where Paul Standall is an absolute fucking diamond to that group. And now, obviously, the PT project. But he, like, I love Luke. I love Cal. I love James Sutton. But they are very deep into this stuff. And sometimes can be a bit dry because it's their passion. Whereas Paul, being a drama student, he's ability to explain stuff and his sheer personality. And by the way, that's not camera personality. I went for a beers with him in London, and Jesus, the guy is as interesting in person with a beer, hands down.
That's it, man. Obviously, I worked with Alex Gates, who's now with Pro Coach, was with the Muscle Mentors, and he did like Littman stuff. Did the Muscle Mentors courses, he did all these things, and he would come back and just tell me everything. And he'd explain it phenomenally. Some stuff just went over my head. I just wasn't ready for it yet. I wasn't ready for it. And some things he'd be explaining again and again, I just wouldn't get it. And I'd just be like, can I just, take the daisy chains off this machine and just just do it?
Just push it.
Because I'm not sure why I'm doing it. But it's not always the sexiest topic, biomechanics and anatomy. It's really, really not. So when you get someone like Paul comes along who just presents it in a different way, suddenly you're listening because there's tonality to him. There's movements around. His video editing's phenomenal anyway. But it's because he knows his shit and he can put it across in a way that a larger percentage of people are going to understand it that they may not understand from another coach.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this to slight Paul in any amount whatsoever, but is he the top anatomy and biomechanics guy on the planet? Probably not. But when he explains...
Well, he's not Tom Purvis in this planet still. He's still around. He's about 190 years old, but he's still with us.
But he knows his shit. And he can explain it in an entertaining, educational, relevant way for most people. But obviously there will be some people that will watch him and go, don't like this guy. Don't want to listen to what he says. There will be. So you can only do this stuff. You think it's going to help the industry, which it is, and you can explain it in a relevant way, which you can, and it's only going to make for a better industry and a better pool of PTs for people to choose from. I think it's almost your duty to fucking do it, to talk about it.
Yeah. Really. And that's what I was saying as well. Like, at no point am I necessarily saying that Cal, James, and Luke are dry people. Like, they're not at all. They're all really cool, interesting people. But as he said, it's a dry topic, right? And it's a skill to present that in a way. And like if I sat down with any of them, I'd be fascinated because I also nerd out on this. Yeah. But someone coming into this, they need to get a base layer of knowledge and a base layer of application before that becomes exciting. Yeah. And this is the way I've always looked at education. I've always looked at myself in terms of education. I don't want to call myself an educator because I kind of am, but no, I don't like that term. Yeah. But my job is to facilitate learning, not to teach. Yeah. So like my job is like, you cannot learn everything in an hour meeting with me. What I can do is I could spark your interest to go and learn it yourself. So how do we make this practical? This is why the second module in what I'm writing is making your system. Because if I have my reset, rebuild, replenish, which works for me, but if you work with athletes, what is the system you use? What's the periodization model you use? How does this work? So then when I give you something, you go, that slots in here. I can see that. Or if I go and take you through a hamstring curl and I go, look, this is where the hamstring origin inserts, and this is why pulling your hip this way. Do you feel that more? And all of a sudden, it's super interesting. As opposed to saying, okay, so here's the skeleton and here's a balloon and this is the ischial tuberosity. And you're like, like, what does it mean? It's a plastic fucking skeleton.
Yeah. And the saddest thing of all, I was guilty of this as a tutor, because in that course, you've only got a finite amount of time with them to get through everything that's going to help them pass the exam. And then when you realise there's certain questions that aren't asked on the exam, it becomes easier to not cover those as much. Because you're like, well, it's not relevant for the exam. It's in the book. Hopefully it'll go away if they're smart PTs and learn this stuff anyway. But they won't. So in terms of the anatomy side, you do not spend half the amount of time on that you really, really should to get a greater understanding. It's kind of embarrassing, but I see why from the very, very base level, they don't go into that as deep as they could. But then if you want to be a good fucking PT, you'd carry that on. And that's just what I'd say to people. We're not covering every page in these books because you've only got 6 weeks. And this could be a 36-week long course, really, like things used to be. But if you really give a fuck, you'll go home tonight. You'll go over this. You'll go over this. This chapter, spend a little bit more time on because obviously it's very relevant to your exam. If you have questions, email me, grab me after class. How many people would grab me after class and talk about anatomy? Not many, if any.
But the argument there is that because this is the thing I always found. Is this because people didn't care? Or is this because people didn't know the questions to ask? Like I remember like in early stages when I was going through this for the first time, when I was getting taught this, I remember like you always had this fear of being asked a question. Right? There's almost this judgment like you have to you've asked a question, you're not going home and studying it. But you know this with anatomy, right? You study it, and someone asks you, tell me the origin and insertion of the hamstring, and you're like, It's I don't know the question to ask. And this is also a reason why having a system is so important in my eyes, because it's like it's like trying to, let's use an anatomy analogy, right? If I don't know where to place my origin, how can the insertion move if it's anchored to nothing? In the same way as if I don't have a system, a way of working, a framework, how do I know a question? Because there's no way I can apply this bit of knowledge to anything I do, because it has to fit somewhere first.
I think that's what's missing. Is you can learn all this stuff, and I think any seminar you go on is relevant if you take one thing away from it and you can apply it. But apply it to your framework, and your framework does not have to be the exact same thing for every single client that you train. Or just speaking to people that aren't PTs or coaches on this, anything to like just following one exercise for that particular body part for the rest of your year or rest of your life because you learned it on a seminar and you think it's cool. So the issue is like framework and blueprint does not mean it's not as fixed as people like to think it is. There's a specific word I'm looking for.
It doesn't mean rigidity.
I can't think of it.
It doesn't mean rigidity, right? Like,
there you go.
It's if you have like a system of working. So this is sort of the way I work. This is sort of the way I take people through. This is the sort of approach I tend to use with nutrition. But then when I go onto an education course, it's like, okay, this is relevant and it fits into my system here. This is relevant, but it doesn't fit my system. But I'm going to leave that as a tool in my toolbox for when I need it. This is shit, and I know it's shit because I have this reference point. And what I want with regards to people that mentor me, I want people to question me. I don't ever want to have someone, and this is why I'm not competing with someone like Jordan Shallow or Luke Lehman. I'm happy if you think I'm wrong. But if I've taught you how to know I'm wrong, and then you can explain to me something that makes me change my philosophy, then I've won. I've won more than being able to teach you anatomy of a fucking bicep.
Yeah. There's two words that stuck with me. I think we're going to reference this a lot in this episode. And it's funny enough, the email I sent out this morning, so it must be on my mind. Collective progression. We don't see this in the fitness industry at all. So you're not competing with Jordan Shallows, Luke Lehman, all these guys. You're getting them on your own podcast as well. How many people would say, well, that's a dumb idea. If you want to set up his own, why is he getting those guys? Well, it's collective progression. We don't see this enough in the industry. It's too dog eat dog. We know that for a fact. And people are too busy trying to make themselves appear to be this absolute, I'm the one you need to come for all of this. How many, especially females, but I'm seeing males that are just as guilty, that are putting bands around their clients' legs for hip thrusts, for squats, for all these different things, when there is more than enough information out there debunking why that is a dumb, if not pointless thing to do. But how many are still doing it and still promote it and sign up for my Booty Band affiliate link? And this is going to help you feel your glutes more. When there's more than enough information out there to show that's not the case. Those are the guys that don't have a framework. They don't even have a method. They just have a what's the fucking word? Like a tagline. That's all they've got. That's just the party line that they're towing. This makes you feel your glutes more. But they're not doing anything. If they just took 2 seconds to look into why that's not the case, they would have the answer. And we're seeing this all over the place. It's again, like we say, this imposter syndrome. As soon as you get a bit more confidence in the industry, how many people think, right, I know my shit now. I'm the top dog. Everyone come to me. And there's no collective progression at all anymore. There's no learning from each other. You can't trust other people with your clients as much as you could previously. You can't trust your resources with other PTs as you could recently. It's scary, really. I think this is part of the reason that we're not helping as many people as we could, because it's now we're in competition with each other rather than progressing with each other.
Do you think that filters out, though, the closer you, I don't want to say to the top, the higher up you get in this industry? Because we mentioned some people that are in that I would consider the top of at least the trainer education world. I don't know about the trainer world in particular. The client trainer world might be a bit different. But they're all very open to helping people. And in the same industry. Do you think that's people lower on the totem pole that maybe are a little bit insecure about their place? Going back to the imposter.
I think that's exactly where it comes from. I think that's exactly it. It's you're so nervous and insecure and your low self-esteem because maybe you haven't got the amount of clients you want, or maybe you haven't got the results you want, or maybe it's just you think it's all about you rather than what you can do for your clients, and therefore your Instagram is nothing but workouts that you're doing, which include 2 to 3 movements most of the time that no one really needs to do. So I think it's definitely an insecurity thing, because people go, well, shit, I need people to come. I need to get their money. They need to come to me. So this is the way to do it. I am the guru. You need to come to me. I'm never going to share anyone else's information on my Insta page. I'm never going to talk about anyone else. I'm never going to share any resource. I'm just going to make you believe that I woke up one day as this amazing, incredible PT that knows everything, and I've never had to look outside for help whatsoever. That's the problem of what's happening. And not only that, but people aren't then continuing their education. Granted, there's financial issues, but you can get some of this stuff on the hooky. Of course you can. But are you going to do that and actually take the time to read the resource that you've downloaded, or even just, if you can't afford stuff, just following and commenting and asking questions? Most of the time, you comment on any of these top guys' posts, they're going to answer you with a decent, empathetic answer, unless it's Paul Carter, in which case he's just going to call you a troll and say you're dumb and shit like that. But anyone else is going to take the time to help you understand stuff a little bit more, a little bit better. That's continuing your education, and that's collective.
I also think, but I also think there with regards to that, you mentioned it earlier on. So if you wanted to learn more about anatomy, you have to take the time to read. You're going to have to invest in people that would shortcut that process. If you can't invest in that person that shortcuts that process, then guess what? Your option is to read. And it's not that you can't find this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like so many people did it before these courses started coming out. So many people learn anatomy mechanics through textbooks, dry, very boring textbooks. And should we, for anyone that doesn't maybe wants to find the shortcut, should we just debunk booty bands and external rotator drills? If you want to take booty bands and why that's rubbish, take external rotator.
Oh God, you'll explain this so much better than I will, because your understanding of the anatomy is so much greater than I am. For me, the simplest thing, take the anatomy equation out of it, is if we're trying to, let's say we're doing a hip thrust or a squat, we're moving a certain muscle in a certain direction, we want all our force going that direction. So if we're using the hip thrust, we're trying to use our glutes to get that bar from down towards the floor, up towards the ceiling. If we then add another direction into the mix, you're limiting the amount of force you can put into that hip thrust, because now extra muscles have got to come into play to push that booty band apart, to stop it pulling your legs in, which is only going to take you into a weaker position anyway. So someone might think, okay, well, but that's a good thing, more muscles, more force. You want to put all the force you can into that hip thrust. At the same time, it would be like doing a chest press, a lying flat dumbbell chest press, where we've got to get the dumbbells from down by shoulders up towards the ceiling. And at the same time, someone's wrapped a band around your arms and they're trying to pull them towards your head. It's not working your chest more. It's working. Something else has come into play to fight another external force we don't need to get the most out of that movement. But you could go so much deeper on the anatomy than I can.
I think from a glute max perspective, in terms of actually training the glute max, I think you nailed it. I think when you're looking at, I see people adding bands into stuff because it's external rotators of the hip, it's the glute med, it's the you want to go gemella and obturator and things like this. It's the same reason when you look at external rotator drills, which have a little bit more place. But the argument here is that people having literally a weekend course understanding of anatomy and go, oh, so the glute med will pull this way. All these external rotators of the hip will pull into external rotation. Origin to insertion, external rotation. Same thing with the teres. Origin to insertion, external rotate the arm. All right, cool. But have you ever thought why those muscles are there? What's their purpose? Their purpose, because they're small, right? They're not there to this crazy big action. They're not there the big prime mover external rotation. What they are there for is to pull the either in the glenohumeral joint or the femur into the socket. They are muscles of stability more than anything else. So when you're looking at that, it's okay, is that the most efficient use of your time? Well, are they making my hip really, really stable? Get strong glutes, get strong hamstrings, kind of do this in itself. That's the way I would look at it in terms of, it's just sort of is it the most efficient use of your time? This is why when you see people Shallow talks about the kettlebell bottom under press, you're integrating the external rotators in the job that they are supposed to be doing, as opposed to just sort of sitting there like this. And I would also add, going into the shoulder stuff, is that and this is going to be rubbish for audio listeners, but I'll kind of explain what we're doing. If I'm in this horrendous hunched over, can't expand my ribcage thoracic position, and I'm trying to externally rotate, I've got kind of nothing there, right? Now, if I extend up, expand the ribcage, oh, look, I've got tons more. Like, it's not your first cause of, issues. And I think people spend so much on these isolation, rehab things, and trainers thinking, well, I'm going to do that. Should you realise you're not a physio? There's a lot of trainers that want to be physios.
Yeah, they won't outsource. They won't refer. They will go. A client comes in. I've got this issue. This feels a bit tight. Okay, I'll fix it. But you do not have that great. You don't have that great enough standing of anatomy around injury, let alone movement. You don't have that skill set. You don't have remedial exercise experience. You just have a few exercises that someone said this is good for rehab, and it's ticking your rehab box. You used the perfect example with the kettlebell underhand overhead press there. And how many trainers am I seeing give this to their client, half kneeling, upside down, bottoms up, kettlebell press? I don't really think they understand why they're doing it, or the benefits or non-existent benefits of such a movement for that particular person, other than it's difficult because you've got to press this thing up suddenly in a really awkward way, and you're in an awkward position, and balance is an issue, and all sorts of stuff. We can't just do these difficult exercises and give someone the reason of, well, it's going to work your stabilizer muscles. What the fuck does that even fucking mean? It doesn't mean anything. You've got to give your client a legit reason as to why you're doing that. And if you can't really fully explain why, then why the hell are you doing it? You've really got to check your ego for a second. Why are you actually doing that? Because you want to be different, because you think it's cool? Or you just thought, well, this is working for someone else's clients, maybe it'll work for mine. Well, no, it's not working for anyone's clients without knowing the reason why they're doing it to begin with. And
I think one of the most complicated topics in terms of understanding movement is progression and regression. Because when you start out, you have this very linear view of this is a progression table, and then you actually start to think like, is an incline hyper a regression from our barbell hip thrust? Is it, or is it different? You know, and there's so many different components to stuff that I quite like a bottom than a kettlebell press, but you've got to know how to get there for somebody that isn't strong enough to do that. So for sake of argument, you may be looking at ways to expand the rib cage, looking at breath work and things like this. Then now you're looking at potentially, can we get the lat strong with a lengthened position? Can we work on improving thoracic extension? If they can, which is another argument because we don't have x-rays. Now, if we can improve the active range in these things, then we've got to go, right, what is the progression? What's the most easy, isolated way I can work on getting myself strong through my external rotation? This may be the time when you throw in some isolated external rotation work. But you've done this prerequisite. You've got the shoulder blade moving. You've got the rib cage moving. And then you can start to build into these more integrated sort of lifts. But I think the big thing, with the coaches is it's a dangerous wormhole to go down when you start looking at the physio route. And I've been down it, 10 times, twice on Sunday. That you go down this physio route trying to fix everything, and you realise that some things can't be fixed. Bone spurs can't be fixed. Shapes of femur heads can't be fixed. So unless you can properly test what active and passive range is, if you don't understand that, find out what your client can own, control, feel safe, and work hard, and then just work there. If it improves, amazing. If it doesn't, at least you're not wasting time on one leg and one arm doing some internal rotation, anti-rotation drill.
It's that we want to assume, well, not we, but PTs want to assume or give the impression that they are the all-encompassing. You don't need to see anyone else. You just need to see me. And that's not the case. It's really not the case. This is why we fuck people. This is how we fuck people up. And I think to just go back to quickly what you said there about there's progression and regression. People forget there's progression, regression, and there's variation. Variation doesn't always equal progression. So we're so quick to move to this new thing, this new exciting, different version of, without forgetting the fact that it's just a variation. It's not necessarily working something harder or better. It's just a different way. And the reason for these variations are because everyone's different. Everyone moves different. Sometimes you're limited on kit. That's the reason for these variations. It doesn't mean that just chucking a variation in means you're now working your client in a better way than you were previously.
Define better.
Define better. Oh, I was literally about to ask you, like, how would you say with your client, basic progressive overload, how would you know when to move them on, when you're done with that movement? When would you move them on?
I don't think that's potentially an easy answer. And I think there's so many factors 100%. That come into this, right? Like, the way analogy I was going to use is like, is a squat a progression from a hack squat? Now, without any context, you could make a very good argument to say yes, right? It's more integrated, it's more movement, you have to take movements through larger range of motion, you have to use more stability, whatever you define stability as. But if your goal is hypertrophy, then that's a regression. Because your goal is pure hypertrophy. I want to be loaded up into something I can go hard and take my quads to failure. That achieves that goal less. If my goal is to be a powerlifter, or my goal is to get a better squat, then that is a progression. The one I always think, this is the reason why I have this thing about progression, regression. When you hear your take on this, from a polyquinite like me. Front foot elevated split squat. Regression, progression from a flat split squat.
Oh, fuck. It's definitely not a regression. I would never class that as a regression for anyone.
But all the polyquinites would, right? You go front foot, flat, rear foot. That's the thing. That's what you do, right?
I've never, rarely started a client off on a front foot elevated split squat. I have enough time. I spend enough time with people just teaching them a flat foot split squat and getting them doing that competently and confidently with great technique every rep, let alone, right, okay, let's add something else to the mix that they may not have the flexibility, the strength in that bottom position, the range of motion, the motor skills, or even the strength to then do that. I do not see it as a regression. If anything, to be fair, would I class it as a progression? No. There may come a point where during someone's split squats that we realise, okay, they've now got the strength and the range and the confidence with the weight they're using that we could push a bit extra range on that with that front foot. But to be honest, I don't really do that. I think, like, unless I'm just trying to figure, I don't really program split squats that much anymore. Mainly because my clients are just moaning like motherfuckers about it. Because it's a horrible movement. It's a horrible, tough movement.
Yeah.
So when would I add it in? When would I have added it in? I would have gotten very, very... I have so many clients that the flat foot split squat, they have so many range of motion limitations anyway, that I've never been able to take them onto a foot, front or rear foot elevated one anyway. So more often than not, I've just been continuously, progressively overloading them on that. And chances are they'll get to a point where they've stalled with weight, but I don't rush to take them onto another movement. I don't then go, right, let's get your front foot elevated now or rear foot elevated just because I can. With split squats, that's a tricky one for me. But from my experience, I don't have many clients doing it.
So when you're looking at that, right, this is the thing about regressions being murky because you hear a soundbite. The soundbite is front foot, flat, rear foot, right? Yeah, but what we talking about here? Because when I explain, people go, "Oh, it's less range of motion." No, it's not. No, it's not. You have the front hip has to move through a greater range of motion. So in turn, you're getting more work for the hip extensor muscles. The length and range of the glutes going to have to work harder in the front foot elevation position. Now, if I took that slight front foot elevation and made it a really high front foot elevation, let's say I put a step up really high, I could potentially argue this regression because now that would be less range of motion because I'm not even trying to get the back knee to the floor. I'm just getting people moving through that range over the course over the front foot, right? So I would go high front foot to flat. And then I would choose either front foot or rear foot proper rear foot elevation, when they're actually still trying to get the extra range, get the knees to the ground, depending on what the goal is. If I go front foot elevation, I'm challenging, as I said, the hip extensors of that front foot. In that position, we're going to be looking mainly like length and range of glute and adductors. People think adductors is adduct. Yeah, but they're also hip extensors when you kind of get into hip flexion, right? If I increase the back leg, like a couple of inches, not Bulgarians, then I'm now taking the knee extensors on that back leg through a greater range of motion, so that back quad is more. Unless I change torso position. This is why progression and regression are complicated, because if I change torso positions, that changes everything. If I go to Bulgarians, why are Bulgarian split squats classed as this booty builder?
Where has this come from? Mate, and why are people so quick to go to it as well? I don't know how many of the recruitment days you ever did, but the program for the recruitment day was split squats, and how many trainers straight away it's into a Bulgarian, and they have no history or information about that person that they're training as a client anyway, and they go straight to it.
And I know I'm not saying at any point can Bulgarians not be a good glute exercise. But my argument is that when I ask trainers, why is it a better glute exercise than a flat foot? Their argument is because we've raised the back leg. Cool. You've now taken the quad to a greater range. That doesn't do it. Why is it? No one mentions torso position. That's the reason why it's more glute, because to get down, you have to do one of two things. Either hyperextend your spine like a motherfucker, or lean forward. In turn, the dumbbells come forward. Look at this, a bigger moment arm to the hip. This is why. And so if you said to me, I'm going to put Bulgarian split squat for a booty, and you go, why? Because the torso angle and the dumbbells come forward. I'm like, brilliant, fantastic, go to work. But very rarely do I hear that as a rationale. It's the rear elevation.
Yeah, no, and you'll be blowing people's minds, right? So there'll be people listening to this, aren't PTs, aren't coaches, that don't have a great understanding of anatomy, that will have no idea what you just said. There will be PTs and coaches that have no understanding of anatomy that have just had no idea what you just said. But how often will they have gone automatically to a Bulgarian split squat? Because it's hard, because it's tough. And this is what we need to move. Well, we still need to work hard, but we do need to move away from just choosing tough exercises, because we still need our clients to be able... For me, a Bulgarian split squat is an absolute progression upon several things first. There's no way in hell a client will be getting a Bulgarian split squat in their first minimum 3 phases of training with me, unless they are extremely competent coming into their training. But as a beginner, I don't have many people now that have progressed to a Bulgarian split squat. There's so much else at play. But how many people?
Have I ever told you it's about the hardest superset I've ever done in my life?
I'm going to do this later.
Have I told you about the work I did with
Here's
Akash?
what's going to happen. You're going to say this is the hardest superset you've ever done. People are going to go out and train it. But no, I don't think you are.
I am doing this with the intention. So I did a Christmas work. I mentioned this in the podcast before, so a few people might know what I'm saying. But I think it was with Steve. But it was I did a workout. Yeah, it was with Steve on the last episode. So it hasn't come out live yet, so people are going to hear me speak about this twice. But we had a week between Christmas and New Year. Me and Akash, shout out to the owner of R1C Fitness, Akash Vaghela. Should we just do a quick full body workout? Get ourselves back into it. Yeah, okay, that doesn't sound too tough. So we planned this workout, and it was ring push-ups, Nordic curls. So far, so normal. A3, and this is the superset, so pay attention to these next 2 exercises. Bulgarian split squat, left leg, single arm dumbbell row, right arm, Bulgarian split squat, right leg, single arm dumbbell row, left arm. That ability for blood flow to jump back and forward in that superset was horrendous. And I didn't know why it was so brutal, but then when you look at fascial slings, a really good superset as well, when you look at fascial slings and the opposite glute working with the opposing lat, it's a brilliant superset. For like gait cycle, I think so. It's way too deep for necessary for this podcast. But I literally did 2 rounds. I look up and I was trying to be hard, right? You know, I stood in my junior year and I looked at Akash and I was just like, hoping you say no more. And you were like this. And I was like, thank fuck for that. We were supposed to do 5 rounds. We got through like 2, maybe 3. And we were like, no more. That's it. We're done.
Oh, my
horrendous.
God. But that's the thing, man. Well-paired exercises from people with the right understanding of anatomy.
We did it by accident. At the time. We had no idea.
You know why it worked. That's the difference. Now you know why. People before would have done that with you, potentially, and gone, Jesus Christ, it's the toughest thing I've ever felt. And they'll continuously do that superset for the rest of their training life. And it will be the tool they bring out for all clients without really understanding why that's the case, apart from it just being fucking tough. Now, granted, yes, we got to work hard. Of course we work hard. And I don't think a lot of people out there are working hard in their own training and with their clients as well. I want to be careful not to make sure that we're not just talking to PTs all the time, because I know non-PTs listen to this too. But the hard is not, that's easy, right? We can make anyone work hard. Let's just tie you into a hack squat and make you do 50 fucking reps or anything. Anything can be hard, but is it therefore then beneficial? That superset sounds amazing. Is it relevant for every single client to be doing every single week? Probably not. Probably not.
And also, if you've got a client that can generate some intensity, you did that first.
Where's the rest of the session? And that's the other bit. That's what one of the biggest things I learned from UP is, okay, so we had our first things we'd go through. We had our little isolatory things towards the end and then maybe a finisher. But not every client always got to it. Because if I worked them hard enough on those first 4 exercises, they're fucked. And that's what I loved. So I didn't have to fill the hour with, all right, we've got to get this in, we've got to get this in, we've got to get this in. Bro, let's go to town on those first 8 to 10 sets of the entire session. My God, you're not going to have much room left to go absolutely balls to the wall on. You're not getting a PB on the prowler today, bro, because you're getting a PB on them split squats first.
And I like the prowler, but I've said this in previous episodes, right? I've got this love-hate relationship with like finishers. And like, now, don't be wrong, there's a time and a place for conditioning, like 100%. But if it's sake of just getting a client to train hard, are you telling me you can't get a client to train hard without it? Or you go, oh, because for enjoyment purposes. Cool, that's fine. Tell me the last client that said to you, oh, can we not do the set of bicep curls now because I really want to do some extra prowler? Never said ever.
Exactly. And these finishers are not exclusive to the prowler. Air dyne seems to be very, very popular, which, I like an air. I don't mind an air dyne. But again, overabundance of use in the last 5 to 10 minutes, it just sounds like you didn't work your client hard enough and you're just trying to fill the time, personally. Considering how comfortable some of them look on it. Metabolic finishers, doesn't need to be done every single workout. Separate hip workouts.
Barbell complexes.
This stuff is fine. Not every client has to be worked in this pseudo CrossFit way in the last 15 to 20 minutes of their session. Maybe you just need to go a little bit harder with them in those first 8 to 10 sets of the first 2 to 4 exercises. Really, Should
I try and remember the analogy that I said before?
Please, because it was beautiful. To remember. And it needs to be a t-shirt. Needs to be a t-shirt, bruv.
Which bit? Maybe on the front we have the wisdom, and on the back we have the example. So what I said before, Rob, when I come in there, and we were talking about this idea of the podcast, and I was like, and this sums up a little bit what we were just talking about. People either over-integrate or over-isolate. Right? And this is across the board. When you look at Instagram and look at coaches, you've got either people that offer over-integrating. These are people trying to be physios and do this one leg, one arm, anti-rotation, internal rotation row. And then you get the other people who over-isolate, where you've got the banded daisy chain, bicep curl, half sex swing exercise. I posted a while ago, if your exercise looks more like a sex swing than an exercise, you're probably doing something wrong.
Oh, mate, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I think
you look like a girl going for a pelvic exam every time you sucked into a bench press. And they're like, this isn't right.
Mate, PT's trying to be physio. Strength and conditioning coaches that don't know how to get their clients strong. They seem to just focus on conditioning and what I assume is some sort of prehab. It's a beautiful vid. I have it saved in my phone somewhere. It's Louis Simmons, Westside Barbell. Now, granted, you can argue some of his points. You can believe all of his points wholeheartedly. It's your choice. He can be your absolute guru. He could be someone you take a few tools from. He could be the public enemy of your fitness industry world. I don't care. But he says it perfectly that the strength and conditioning coaches aren't getting their clients strong. Your job is to get your clients strong for the football field, for example. Not try and make them a better footballer in the gym. in terms of their, like, if someone's going to play football, they're doing all the mobility drills at the start. They're doing all their flexibility drills at the start. They're doing their coordination. They're doing their skill building at their football training. They don't need you doing that in the gym, trying to replicate that with bands, cables, chains, balls, steps, foam pads, booty bands. They need to get fucking strong so they can get on the football field and kick fucking ass.
I would also argue some of these things actually are counterintuitive. Heavy boxing gloves, right? Like you could if you want to train someone's serratus anterior, you've got ways of doing it that are potentially better. But I think if you're looking at weighted boxing gloves, now you can't actually weight the punch properly because you're used to something heavier. And the same thing with weighted rugby balls. You need a feel for what that ball's like and know how much force to put in for a spin, how much force to put in for a punch that you want. Very different.
Yeah.
Everything's weighted.
Yeah, it's... okay, I'll go back to Louis Simmons for a second. I disagreed with a lot of what Louis Simmons said about Olympic lifting, and I didn't see enough of what he said put into practice for me to believe it or not. However, banded jerks for Olympic lifters, not for general public, banded jerks, I think are phenomenal. But he did this big thing. I want to say it was Barbell Shrugged, went and visited him. And they were doing cleans and snatches, banded and all sorts. And for me, even though I've been out of the Olympic world, lifting world for a little bit, well, for quite a while now, it kills me to see the Olympic lifting world get butchered so much by PTs that have a weekend qualification again and are trying to give it to the general public, or they're trying to integrate it into their strength and conditioning framework. And again, the relevance there is those weighted boxing gloves change how you punch. Adding bands to Olympic lifts, doing all these extra different things, change how that movement actually is. I've seen a guy doing glute ham raises on the GHD, regardless of whether the technique was good with the client or not, with a medicine ball that he then explosively pushes towards the floor. Why is he pushing a medicine ball towards the floor when he can just let go and gravity will do that work? You're not really developing any force whatsoever doing that. Okay, you could argue, maybe, because I've thought about it long and hard, because it really freaks me out. I've thought about it long and hard. Maybe he's trying to think, right, okay, so there's nothing really holding that person into position except for his glutes at the top of the movement. So maybe it's like a fourth development thing for glutes, but it's not. There's a million better things you could do to develop the force of those glutes, or resisting force as you're pushing something that don't include you being in that machine. You're changing how your body pushes against force. Well, it's not at that moment. It's gravity doing the work for you. You can just let go of the ball and it's going to end up in the same direction, the same fucking place. That's the bit that freaked me out. We don't realise that we're putting all these things in and we're changing how the body part actually moves. Booty bands, hip thrusts. That's not the glute max doesn't want to move that way. It wants to push the bar up towards the fucking ceiling. So why are you changing what it does, what it wants to do?
I also think as well, sometimes people do stuff for the sake, we talked about this earlier on, for the sake of novelty. I spoke about me seeing recently someone doing a single leg bit of a T-bar row. Now, you can make it. I'm sure that some people can make an argument of like anti-rotation, improving internal rotation, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, I can see it. But when you're doing this, relatively heavy, even a T-bar row in general, let's say you were just doing a T-bar row, fine, not a bad exercise. But if you've got a T-bar row machine with a chest pad and a seat and all this other really good stuff that helps you, shift more load and work harder, why are you not using it?
We're now... again, it's that resistance to try and put people in a machine, because there's still this dumb belief that there's a hierarchy and machines are easier and they do half the job for you and all this stupid stuff. The machines are just perfect, some of them. When they're well made, it's a work of art.
Who are these people? I'll put them in a pendulum squat. Anyone that thinks that the machines are lower on and they're easy, come to Hong Kong.
Pendulum land.
I'll put you in a pendulum squat.
Or let's do a proper decent set on a leg curl or a leg extension. Let's see. So some machines are pansy, but that's down to manufacturer rather than just the blanket term of all machines. Some just aren't made right, which is a bit of a shame, because if the manufacturers had a greater understanding of anatomy and movement, then we might have a better range of machines to work with in every single gym. But their job is to manufacture machines to go in gyms, not to make sure the client using them is getting the world's best experience and hypertrophy potential and things like that. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is, right? So when you say, like, you've got the T-bar row in the corner and no one's on it, and someone's doing a landmine, single arm, single leg T-bar thing, I'd love to take the time to understand the reasoning behind that, away from novelty. So again, like, to go back to the Olympic lifting, I'm seeing clients, trainers trying to integrate it with their clients, but I don't know why. Is that client do they want to compete at Olympic lifting? Cool. In which case, then forget the rest of their fucking program. Let's teach them how to Olympic lift for the hour, if not longer. And if they don't want to compete in Olympic lifting, why are you teaching them Olympic lifting? And wannabe CrossFit coaches. Seems to be a lot of trainers now that seem to be taking stuff from the CrossFit world, probably because they've trained in some CrossFit gyms, or they think Metcon is what's going to get people lean and jacked, that aren't actually strictly CrossFitting either. It's weird. I don't know where it's fucking come from.
The thing, the pet hate I have about Olympic lifting and CrossFit, and there are some great CrossFit boxers out there that do this properly, but you take Olympic lifting, which are often done in ones, right? If not couples, but like they are done in singles, and you're now doing every minute on the minute. I'm like, this isn't smart. No. You wouldn't do a 1 rep max on the minute every minute. So why would you do an Olympic lift or a snatch or a clean? This is in my mind ludicrous and
the worst workout I ever did. I didn't complete it. It was one of these, not a CrossFit Games one, but I think something that happens every year, and there's like 5 to 12 workouts, 6.1, 6.2, whatever the hell it is. And the guys I was teaching Olympic lifting out of, one of the many boxes I taught it out of, got me doing one, and it was snatches. I think it was X amount of snatches on the minute or after you had done X amount of reps of another thing. Now, at that moment in time, at that specific moment in time, I could snatch 80 kilos for a couple of reps. This workout called for like 50 to 60. And I think I just went down to 50 because I was like, this is going to be a lot of reps. And by the time I'd got to like my third, fourth round, I couldn't snatch 50 kilos. Why? Because I was trying to snatch 50 kilos. I wasn't just trying to get 50 kilos above my head any which possible way I could. That workout called for you to just get that bar up there. Doesn't matter if you're knackered. If you're knackered, you're not going to hold perfect technique. You're knackered. So you've just got to get that bar up there. And I couldn't, through the years of drilling snatch technique into my body, find any other way of getting it up there that didn't look or feel ridiculous and dangerous. So I vowed after that moment, I'm never going to do that. I'm just going to focus on my Olympic lifting. Nothing that ever went above 5 reps, and certainly no touch and go reps, did not exist in my training program and with the clubs that I worked with and the coaches I learned from. Did not exist. That bars hit the floor, you're probably not doing a touch and go, unless it was maybe like 2, something like that. But a 5 rep round, bruv, you better let go of that bar, set yourself up again. Let's go. Just don't take too long because it is set. But I don't see this happening at all.
So, in order to make it not look like we're on our high horse,
we're on medium.
Of making it sound like we are the big I am plus the trainers. A little bit. Well, let's pull ourselves back down and remember a time when we were on the low horse. Let's try this. Let's play a little game. We're going to take it in turns. We're going to go dumb shit that you remember doing in the early days of UPT. When you've done it, I will do one. Let's see who runs out of things first. Do you want to start or shall I start?
Because I have a good one. Because it's the one that could have really, really done me some damage. Olympic lifting on a regular barbell, regular place. I remember the first gym I worked at, I just started learning at Bethnal Green Olympic Weightlifting Club, phenomenal place. But I was working in a commercial hotel type gym. York bars, techno gym plates. Like, that's not for Olympic lifting, not at all. So if you want an Olympic lift, ladies and gents, yes, there is an argument that you've just got to do the best you can with the kit you got. But if you really want an Olympic lift, find a place that has the proper bars and the proper plates as well. Otherwise, you'll just screw yourself up and you'll never really learn the technique properly either. So dumb shit I did was trying to use non-specified kit for a specific reason.
I love how your first one still made you come out a little bit cool at the end of this. Like, yeah, but I do know Olympic lifting now. Here's my expert advice. Right, you weren't willing to embarrass yourself on the first one, right? But I will. Don't worry, it gets worse from here too. One of the things I, and as a collective things I did as a PT young, was making my client workouts an advertisement to those looking on from the treadmills more than it was about the client's goal. I remember the one in particular where we used to have these, because in Virgin Active, you're marketing to the people on the gym floor, right? And you have to go up and speak to people on treadmills, get involved. But rather than actually helping them directly, when I didn't know what I was doing, we used to have the treadmills, and then next to it we had this big long line of mats, like foam mats, not like the gym mats you get out of PE. And I'd have a box jump on one side. This is a collection of dumb shit, by the way, but don't worry, I've still got plenty more. And then I had different levels of box jump. And then I had a back, and they had some dumbbells. So let's say they could do a press-ups, they'd sprint across the other side, do 10 box jumps, come back up, do some dumbbell thrusters, sprint back, jump up to the higher one, and then they sprint back and do something else. They come back, they jump up to the top one. But don't worry, we're not done there. On the top one is a kettlebell. Just so when you've done the box jump, before you jump back down, you can do some kettlebell swings. And it just looked like a cool workout, but it was dumb and it was stupid, and it didn't get them closer to their goals, and thankfully it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Could have injured.
I think that's the same. I would say something very, very similar. The original circuit classes that I taught weren't circuit classes. It turned into exactly that. It's how much can I fuck you up? It's 5 p.m. on a Friday night, and I kind of want to go home, and I don't like that I'm working here. So I'm going to punish you for turning up to this class. Constant, over the top, PHA style, blood shunting all over the place. No real benefit to the movements I've just chosen. I've just picked up heavy kettlebells and boxes and hard bodyweight exercises with sprints in between. And you know what? Every 15 minutes when the timer goes, I'm going to make you do a ton of burpees or something else, because why the hell not? And you're going to walk out of that class going, that was the toughest thing I've ever done. But there was no real benefit to it. It was just hard work. No muscle actually got worked. Okay.
The few sadists come back because they like the hard work, and a few people have now been scared off the gym for the rest of their life.
This impression that, okay, this geezer knows his stuff because I'm sweating buckets, I can't breathe, everything hurts, I can't walk the next day. And then I get that little ego going, yeah, I'm the fucking best trainer out there because I can kill people. And it took me a long while to get out of that mindset of, no, these people need to actually work some muscle and recover in between sets. And I can't remember the last time I programmed anything remotely related to a circuit, which is a shame because I love the Jim Jones style and Mark Twight stuff. I love all that stuff. But once I learned it, I realised, okay, it's not relevant for most of the clients that I'm training.
Yeah. I think which one shall I go to next? Let's go with this one. In terms of sporty type stuff and athletic stuff that I've done mistakes. Let's talk about all the times I did all the stuff that I'm telling you've spoken about not doing anymore. Do you remember the ab exercise where you stuck on a pair of boxing gloves and you punch your client in the stomach? Because that's going to get them better abs? I've done that. And it got to a bit at the end where I did it with the clients I really didn't like, because I could blag it being a good thing. But on the flip side of this is what a stupid... In no job ever could you get away with punching your clients.
It's terrible, isn't it? I still see people doing it. It's fucking hilarious. It's so funny. I would then add, this is not something I did much of, and I don't want to keep harping on about Olympic lifts. Dumbbell Olympic lifts. I did a video about this the other day. Dumbbell Olympic lifts, I think, are one of the dumbest moves on the planet, because it's not an Olympic lift. It's not even close to an Olympic lift. It's literally, and the more you take it away from what should be as close to an Olympic lift as possible to just get that dumbbell overhead, is now just your lower back and shoulders, whereas Olympic lifts are predominantly glutes quads. It's not it's not the same at all. And the impact you have to brace at the top as you're swinging this thing above your head is just not good for anyone. And again, they're all being stuck into Metcons, high rep workouts and circuits and things in between, and it doesn't make any fucking sense at all to me. But I was guilty of once I first learned them. I get people doing some dumbbell cleans. Oh yeah. Oh, we haven't got the kettlebells today. Let's do a dumbbell snatch. But again, for me personally, thank God I had the knowledge at the time that this stuff was not meant for high reps. Thank God. The only high rep stuff I've ever done with anyone is kettlebells.
Oh yeah.
Only high rep stuff. There's a reason for that.
Where am I going now? We used to have a bouldering wall at my old version. Really good fun, right? With a big crash mat and everything, right? But the amount of times I've got people doing exercises on those crash mats because the crash mat clearly did something that was magical compared to doing things on the floor. So sprints on the crash mat, push-ups on the crash mat, kettlebell swings on the crash mat, and then getting off and doing some skipping because, advertisement. And I'll do 2 for the price of 1 on this one. Because I know that was sort of linking to the last one, is exercises that are 2 exercises in one. Like lunges with lateral raises.
Good lord.
It's either a subpar lunge or a really heavy lateral raise.
Do you know what? I can think of many examples where I've done that. Thank God, not for the last 5 years. No way in the 5 years.
Yes. Caveat, none of this stuff we mentioned we've probably done recently. If any of my clients are
listening to this going, hang on, we've done that, then give me a holler, because maybe my brain's gone blank. But my God, yeah. Lunges into presses, RDLs into fucking clean, into overhead press. It's like just stringing 2 or 3 things together, but not really a strict complex. Not really a strict complex. There was an era where I used to do, not exclusively, some of my clients would get complexes. I was big into my Dan John at the time, and he's very, very big on complexes. And some things, great. There were dumbbell complexes, which didn't go well with clients. There were barbell complexes, which went okay. But again, as soon as you get into a certain point, technique suffers. You're just oiking bars all over the place, and it's not quite the workout that it's meant to be. Because I would do it complexes with my clients, but I would never add time. I would never say this has to be completed in a certain amount of time, or you're trying to get a certain amount of reps in time, or there's a timer for you to go again for the next round. It would be a complex, less rest. Bar has to go down in between the move. Okay, not the end of the world. But again, that's just, thank God I had that mentality at the time, not to fucking kill my clients.
My next one is going to a seminar and giving people the workout that I learned from the seminar. The amount of people that have done 10 exercise giant sets for quads, and just because I went and did 10 exercise giant set for quads somewhere, by the way, which was brilliant, by the way. But and then this is not a knock on the UP hypertrophy campus in any way, shape, or form. Still some of the formative experiences of my career, learning how to train that hard and getting to be in that environment at Mayfair the way it was at the time. But just come back and not having the knowledge. So like, yep, cool. Everyone's going to do some giant sets now. Like 60-year-old Susan and get in the leg press. You've got some sissy squats to come, and just that dumb stuff because they didn't understand.
Yeah,
exactly. Hard work.
Which I would say doing whatever I could in the workout to make sure my client's on the floor at the end. Like for the photo opportunity or just for the bragging, looking at everyone else on the gym floor going, look what I can do to my clients. I'm the best. I'm the scariest PT. Trying to be the scariest PT. First gym I worked at, I worked with this guy called Anton, Russian MMA fighter. Geezer was terrifying. His clients would die at the end of the session. I worked with another guy, Chris, phenomenal guy, owns 2 to 3 CrossFit boxes up around Hertfordshire area. Really great guy. Got his head screwed on. He was really, really good at pushing these clients to these new levels. It was phenomenal. Matt, the gym manager I worked with, his understanding of the core and the posterior chain was as good as any of the guys who are out there now. Phenomenal understanding. These 3 guys taught me a hell of a lot. But when I first started, I was like, right, Anton's fucking right. He's just doing that with his clients. I'm going to kill him. So I need to do that. Chris is really good at structuring these almost circuit-based workouts and adding cardio in between things, and his clients are dying. I'm going to do that. Matt's got this great understanding of the core and the glutes, so I need to make sure I'm doing exactly that as well. And okay, at the time, it's cool because it gave me little bits of things that I eventually added into a framework, but I didn't. I was just going, look at what they're doing. I'm going to do that. And that's what a lot of these PTs now are doing. Granted, you could say there's an inexperience to the industry that is causing this to happen. But at the same time, I know guys that have been in the industry almost longer than me that are still doing this as well. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, my next one is probably the one that's probably done the most still. And it's commonplace and no one even questions it. Press-ups in a spin class on a spin bike.
Oh, the poor kids that I had to teach that course to.
Oh, man, you have to do studio cycling.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
I hope some of them are listening to this. Or maybe we'll release this clip. But I think I taught well into the double figures spin courses without ever pedaling a bike once. I had it locked down. There's no way in hell I'm taking you through the spin. And then there's the part of the qualification was they had to do these, I forget the name, the specific name for these movements, where they are doing some sort of press up motion, or they are leaning forward over the top, or they've got their clients to clap, or some stupid shit. And I just didn't care whether they did it or not, because it's not relevant. Really not relevant. My God. Yeah. God, the terrible things I used to get away with.
I hated those spin classes. There was a point where my first gym did not like me. Shout out to Firewalker Gym in Wolverhampton. They hated my spin classes. I still quite like
them. Yeah.
Because I used rock music.
I used to judge students on the music they chose.
So I had like Thunderstruck.
Rules. I had rules written up on the wall.
Yeah.
one of them was it's only one of them was if you play Viking metal, you've already passed. Another one was house music is not the only music that should ever be played in a gym. Because for the sole reason, I'm the one that had to sit there for at least an hour and watch 15 to 30 students go through their spin routine on their 2 to 3 tracks that they had chosen. Eventually, I just whittled it down to one track. You get one track, just blow my mind, give everyone a good workout, cool. But my God, when you're sat there for so long listening to everyone else's music tastes and you're going, Jesus Christ, people are fucked in the head. This is not good. But it would ruin my head for the day. I'd walk out of spin. Boxing one, easy. Circuit class, easy. Advanced nutrition, that was great anyway. And then kettlebells, cool. TRX, it was just the most boring thing I've ever taught. I would just let it hang and say, just figure it out. But the spin one is the one that would do my nut for the whole day because they got to choose their own music.
I'll add a nuanced one. I think so. And this is probably one of the most recent mistake I've probably made. Is not that I made it that recently, but doing manual release work with clients. Like you learn a bit of therapy courses and you learn how to release someone's peg or something like this. And there's a couple of reasons why this is bad. The first obvious one is most things are tight because the nervous system deems we are unsafe in a certain range. So you could be opening all sorts of a can of worms because I don't know the deep down reason why someone's pec is tight. Me releasing someone's pec now means they could be in a really unstable position that could cause issues. But let's simplify this. The reason why I think this is a general issue. There is exceptions to this rule. If a client has come to me and they've got a pain that is worse than the pain of training, and I can't solve something by training, and I have qualifications to know that I'm doing it. I'm not just releasing people because I saw someone else do it and if I prod their pec, I can do that too, because I see a lot of that rubbish. Okay? If the pain, they want me to do it and the pain of this is lesser than the pain they're in, and I haven't got time to refer out because I've got pain now and I can do something about it, I will still do it. But what I started for a while, especially once I've done Douglas Heel.
Yeah.
You heard the Douglas Heel course? Douglas is great, by the way, and I'd love to get him on the show. Douglas, if you randomly listen to this, please come on the show. Incredible course. But the problem with the personal training perspective, you prod in someone's diaphragm, it hurts. No one came to me for that. Yes, an RDL hurts, a split squat hurts,
Yeah.
but you kind of come expecting that pain. You don't come expecting the sharp pain of me prodding the serratus anterior. So it's this things I also did the same thing with fascial tools. Do this before your hamstring curls. I'm like, no one wants to be scraped with a blunt knife at the start of a session. So if you do, fine. But this blanket rule of doing this, and just put people off.
I think of another one, because I used to get the students to do this, but I used to do it for my clients, and I'd get my clients to do it for me, walking up and down each other's backs and legs and glutes. And once rarely did we try it on the front as well. But yeah, walking up and down each other's body as well was not a good idea. Because again, that amount of pressure should not be put onto someone's muscles of when the person doesn't know where they're hitting. And the only advice I could give people was just stay away from the joint and don't walk directly on the spine. And as soon as someone gets to the glute, well, calves were horrific. As soon as someone got to the glutes, people are spasming out of control. As soon as they're on the back and the ribs, people are fighting to breathe. But then afterwards, once you've jumped off, you're so relaxed. The person on the floor is so relaxed. For the sole reason they've just had an 80 to 90 kilo geezer walking up their entire body, and they've been holding their breath and squeezing and fighting it. So as soon as you don't have that force, of course you're fucking relaxed. Of course you are. But we would be like, well, it's, just the massage technique. They're fully relaxed now because you've...
Me and Eddie got a massage in Wan Chai, not a dodgy one. They stood. I looked up and was like, "What are they sitting on the ceilings? They're things for them to hold on to whilst they walk across shit." I was like, "What is this?" But yeah, here's a little bit more nuanced one. Walking lunges for beginners. That's a mistake I made. Phase 1, you got to do some walk lunges, right? Or warm up. Day 1, you got to walk lunges because it's a beginner exercise, right?
God.
It's like doing a barbell deadlift as a beginner.
Yeah.
Which I did too. Compounds are the basics. You got to be able to squat, bench, and deadlift first before you do anything else. The ankles I can see now from my past.
God, yeah.
Just horrendous.
Man, it's rare that I program them now, even with people. It's tough.
I still program them a lot, but then there's levels to this, like we started with, right?
It's really not for everyone. And again, it comes back to that. Well, it's tough, so it must be worth doing. Yeah, but no.
Have you got any others before we move on, or am I officially dumber than you?
Stupid movements that I used to give people. But I don't know. I think I was too scared. I used to pair a lot.
Lots of dumb ones I used to do.
A lot.
Push-up. Sliders. Like push-ups with sliders. Like you just crawl across the floor. I had really high box jumps. I used to be really good. I was really good at box jumps, being a fullback in rugby. Right? And then I put at the point where I maxed out up to my chest, and I maxed out all the little, you got the plastic boxes, and then you have the square bits you can put on top of them, so you can stack them. Really unstable. And I used to do sets of high rep box jumps as well. Not this like you do your one because of an explosive lift and you come down. But then we were renovating the gym, and all the sponge flooring tiles would come up. I was like, oh, cool, opportunity. So we used to stack these up on top of each other. So that got up to my waist. And then I put all the boxes on top of that. So it'd be up to my head.
Yeah.
And box jump onto that. So a 6-foot box jump. Which, don't get me wrong, fairly impressive. But really stupid. Like how I never got a concussion from that, I have no idea.
Such a risky thing to do. But for certain people, it has so much relevance. It is such a good thing. But
they're done badly.
More often than not,
sets of 20, badly. Stuff like that. Bounce,
box jumps and fatigue are two things that should not go together. Box jumps and explosiveness, now we're talking.
Yes.
Box jump and fatigue, man, just asking for broken shins, grazes, falling off, all sorts. Somewhere on... No.
Box jumps are beginners.
No.
With no instruction integrity in the hip. Bad.
I can't remember the name of it to save my life. Was when Jim Jones came to the UK, when it was Mark Twight and Rob McDonald, they came to the UK. It was in the Optimal Life Fitness Centre. It was phenomenal. I loved that place. And they came over, and these coaches decided to put on a preliminary Jim Jones type workshop. Some of it was amazing. Some of it, I was like, I don't know why we're doing this. I'd rather just learn from the Jim Jones guys. But there were some phenomenal coaches there who I still admire and respect now. BJ Rule, CJ Swawi, Andy McKenzie, some phenomenal people that taught me some cool stuff. Andy McKenzie's still one of my favorites. I like Andy McKenzie. That. He, I can't remember what he did, but one of the things was some people went for the 300 workout. And yeah, okay. One of the things I was put through was a specific Jim Jones workout. I want to say it's not Jones Crawl. I can't remember what the name is now. But it was X amount of deadlifts at your body weight and then like 25 box jumps at 24 inches. And I was up, not competing, but I was against this guy. Only two people at the time were doing it. And it was this CrossFitter. And like 2 rounds in, I'm like ahead of him. I'm doing pretty well here. And then it hit me that my body was not built for high rep deadlifting and high rep box jumping, because I had no cardiovascular base whatsoever. This geezer did, because he was a CrossFitter, and so he like streaks ahead of me. And that last round of box jumps and deadlifts, it probably took me about 3 minutes to get through a set of deadlifts and box jumps because of the amount of rest I was having to take. I was screwed. Some of the box jumps didn't count because I'd jump and I wouldn't land. I'd fall off. It was terrible, but I got through it. And at the end, I'm like, there's that little bravado thing of, yeah, I did it in the end. The cat killed me, but without thinking, I couldn't do it because it was stupid. It's the reason why you don't pair. It's the reason why you don't do high rep deadlifts, high rep box jumps, and the reason why you don't pair them together, unless you are of a very, very, very specific, particular demographic, which 90% of the general population and people in gyms are not.
Would you argue, if you've got the structural integrity to do some of this stuff, if you know that's not going to be your main workout, you're doing it all the time, is there an argument to say that some of these workouts that are done are relevant? For example, we spoke about the 10 exercise giant set. We've probably both done an initiation. That was a horrible workout. We have so many of these workouts I look as defining moments and teaching me to train hard. I did the 300 workout. Do you think sometimes there's a place, as long as it's used wisely?
I think we spoke about this a lot previously with JP as well, because that's what's coming back to me is the idea of a challenge workout. But these would only ever be used sporadically, if ever. But for what reason, again? Like, we used to do them fairly regular because the environment we were in, and it was good to push each other, and it was good to fuck each other up, and it was a bit of a laugh at the same time. But we would not then be doing that with our clients. No way in hell. So why? Now, the Jim Jones stuff, the Mark Twight, the non-profit guys, those things aren't, okay, there were challenge workouts in there. They're very, very open that the 300 workout was not a workout to be done by anyone. It was a test that was part of their training for those actors. But yet somehow it became this global thing where everyone was doing it every single workout every week. It's where would we put these challenge workouts in? I don't really have a strict answer. Unless there's a specific capacity that I'm testing. But I don't work with those types of clients myself. I don't work with people that need high rep circuit-based training and advanced aerobic capacity or anything like that. I don't work with those people.
What capacity are you testing? So you're testing aerobic capacity. There's better tools for that job than a 300 workout.
Lactate threshold. There's much better ways of testing these things. Much better ways. I
can't. How do you work out someone's aerobic health by running the complete circuit? You
so all you can do is base it on sets, reps, time, and volume. Really, which is a way to measure progress on those particular exercises and that particular circuit. But then, does that mean you are building something that has carry over to the rest of the world, or are you just getting better at that particular circuit, those particular exercises? I'd argue it's more that than anything else. It's
so to close off this episode a bit. you mentioned 3 topics in here. And I think the last one you mentioned is a podcast in itself. But I do want to finish off with the first one you made, brought up, because I think this is relevant to what we're talking about. With all the stuff that dumb things that TTs do online or in person, what do you define fitness as?
So, my favourite but my most hated answer is, and this is the Jim Jones one, fitness is the ability to do a task. But the task has to be relevant to your goal and what you do. So the ability to do a task. Fitness is the ability to do a task. Climbing a mountain is a task. Getting up out of your chair at 70 years old is a task. So therefore, fitness is not one clear definition. It's not necessarily just cardio. It's not just strength. There's still this old school 80s home video workout mentality that fitness is cardio and just related to that. If fitness is the ability to do a task, then depending on what tasks you need to do, we need to increase our ability to do that. That can be increased cardiovascular capacity, that can be increased strength. But why are you doing that task? Or why are you trying to get better at that task? Unless you are trying to climb a mountain, why are you doing mountain-specific circuits in your workout? Unless you're climbing the mountain. But I hate that answer as well, because it then gives people license to just do everything in one workout. Because you need to, fitness is this all-encompassing thing, so therefore you need to do absolutely everything.
I both agree and disagree with you. In the sense of, I think, in a way, I think fitness is goal dependent, but I also think the problem is the term, the overuse of the term fitness. I think fitness, the definition of fitness, is cardiovascular in nature. If I'm going to be physically fit, I have a high cardiovascular ability. But it's become this blanket term for training. Fitness isn't strength. Fitness isn't muscular. Fitness isn't, it's called toned, isn't lean. Fitness isn't the ability to climb a mountain. Fitness isn't the skill on an Olympic lift. These are all different categories within this thing. And I think we've adopted this blanket term, trying to fit a word for something that there isn't a word for. It's like imagine we didn't have a word for personality. And like personality is just a word for like that's a bad analogy, but you get what I mean. Like there's so much difference in this, and individual difference in this. I don't think fitness can be the right term. I think fitness is cardiovascular in nature. Strength is strength. Muscle mass is muscle mass. I don't think fitness is a great term.
At the very same time, you've got to take aesthetics out of the fitness realm, because it's aesthetic. If fitness is the ability to do a task, aesthetics has no bearing in that whatsoever. No bearing in that whatsoever. You get to top of Mount Everest, it doesn't matter if you've got a six-pack or not. In fact, if you get to top of Mount Everest and your six-pack's on display, you're not getting back down. You're probably about to die. So the aesthetics are an entirely different thing. So therefore, I agree with you. Fitness can't then include aesthetics. And I think this is what I agree and disagree with the statement, fitness is the ability to do a task. Because again, what is the task? What's the relevance for it? And what is going to build your ability to do that task? But in terms of if your body is
is fitness the goal?
I hate using the car analogy, but if your body is the car, the engine needs to move that fucking car. Otherwise, it's pointless. So therefore, what's going to move that engine? Well, it comes back to your heart and your lungs. Of course, it comes back to your heart and your lungs. Even in aesthetics, if your heart and your lungs are shot, there's a very limited amount of muscle you're going to be building. So I get it. It comes down to that. And any task that you would do involves some sort of heart rate variability depending on what it is, that task that you're doing. But for me, I would class strength in that. But obviously there are several different variables to strength at the same time.
Using your car analogy, if we said fitness, the way we use fitness is like saying anything that's put into a car is petrol. If I put unleaded in a diesel car, it won't run very far. it's not. You can't have a blanket term for this. You can't have a blanket oil or gas in the car. You've got unleaded, you've got leaded, you've got diesel, you've got electricity now in these cars. If I put an electric car and I just started pumping petrol into it, it would be disastrous. So this is the overuse of the term fitness. I don't think it's like the term health. Are you healthy? Well, I touch wood. I think I am free from disease. So I am healthy. Am I of optimal health? Can I function optimally? And probably not right now. So health is a big term. Health to me is just free from disease. Fitness is fitness to be able to walk a set of steps and not die.
Health is the absence of disease. You could say that fitness is the absence of. I don't want to. This is going to piss someone off. But in a way, you could then say fitness is the absence of physical impairment. And I'm not saying disability comes into that category in the slightest. So back in your box, people. But you could then say if health, because there's health and fitness, if health is the absence of disease, fitness would be the absence of physical. There's got to be another way for me to say that without someone saying, yeah, but what about one-leg people that do marathons? Yes, I know several of them. But there's got to be another way of saying that away from physical impairment. But it's exactly that. It's ranges of motion at joints. It's free from injury. It's cardiovascular capacity, of your age, not of a fucking 70-year-old smoker. But that's why it's such a difficult thing to define, really.
I just think the aim here really is don't use it as a definition.
Again, what is your goal? What is your goal? So let's do the things that are going to get you to your goal. If your goal is hypertrophy and fat loss, you do not need to be doing a load of other things in the name of fitness. You don't need to be doing metabolic conditioners and stupid shit like that. At the end of it, you need to be building some muscle mass. If your goal is to get strong, cool. Let's get strong. You don't need to do conditioners at the end because you don't need to do strength and conditioning. You can get strong without conditioning at the end. If your goal is to get better at a marathon, let's do some very, very marathon-specific running and cardio work and some strength work so you don't screw yourself over. It doesn't need to be these weird, almost pseudo. You don't need to be a
jack of all trades.
Don't need to do weighted yoga.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
These weird movements I see people doing with 4 kilo dumbbells. Just run and get strong. Come on, man.
Yeah. I think before we close this episode, because there was one thing we were talking about dumb PTs we didn't do, and you know where I'm going because I'm holding this pen. I sent you a video before you came on there. I was supposed to use this earlier, but we got so into it that I didn't mention to it. But we spoke about Andrew Tate, we spoke about Liver King, and we're doing a bit of calling out on this podcast. You getting William Lee's shorts on YouTube
TikTok
all over the place right now? What do you think of this?
I would see this guy a lot, and I admire his energy because he's young. King,
yes, King. Yes, King.
Abs,
why is everyone King? Why is everyone King?
What was the book? King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. Everyone just wants to be the king. So Elliot Holt, we had a program called King, so everyone just thinks you got to be the king. But I like Elliot Holt. Kings, you want to get that 6-pack? And it'll be, he's already got the 6-pack because he's already super fucking lean. And he'll just give you like 3, 4, 20 rep exercises that are all hip flexor based. And obviously this pull-up one that you've referenced as well, that's not really going to get you that much better at pull-up.
I'm going to have to follow one. I saw one before I came on air. Kings, you want to build some muscle? Here's what you're going to do. Go on to Google and type in calorie calculator. I'm like, oh, is that your advice? Is that really your advice? You have shared nothing. You have shared nothing. But then he was doing that thing with the pen where he pressed his pec up with his pen. I was like, what has this got to do with, 1, what's it got to do with chin-ups? 2, what's it to do with calorie calculators on Google?
Really weird.
I don't get the pen thing. It's weird. That freaks me out. I'm less calling him out.
Weird. Maybe he's just really into nipple play. I don't know. And the pen does it for him. It's weird. Because, I think about it. He almost does it every single video. Not that I've seen all of his work, but I say work. But...
And why is his chin-up advice doesn't include a pull-down?
2 things that you don't need to worry about when trying to get better at chin-ups. And then, now you should be able to do chin-ups. Decent. Yeah. Where was the eccentrics? Where was the static holds at the top?
Right.
Not bottom.
No, he had eccentrics in there. Me and Steve had this conversation, yeah, and I don't like. We don't like. Yes, and they're nowhere near halfway because eccentrics start here with an arch. Me and Steve have this thing with eccentric training for chin-ups. It's like saying I want to get better at bench press, so I'm going to load up 110% of a 1 rep max and do reps. It's a super maximal. If you can't do one chin-up, lowering your body weight when you can't prove when you lift your body weight, it's like doing 110% of your squats and doing lowers. Isometrics, great. I've had 100. Go on. Yeah, so I was going to say, yeah, I've got hundreds of people doing chin ups, right, and 90% of them, I've done it by accident. Got stronger on pull downs, and I've got the weight lower. And then one day they tried chin up, and go, oh my god, I got 10. Oh really? Okay, that's cool. Didn't train for it. If I was training for it, I'd probably go pull downs until you can do your body weight for like 8-10 reps. Isometric holds to kind of get good at the position, and then maybe some assisted work to sort of get the movement, right? Eccentrics wouldn't even have a place to me to get your first chin up. But what they might have a place in is getting from 1 to 10, 1 to 5. When you can do 1, then there's a time and a place. But if you can't hold your body weight, why try and do 110% of your body weight? My thoughts. So this was going along, but I think there's a lot of dumb shit PTs do, and obviously what we've established that we used to be one of them. So we used to be a couple of them. So I think this is definitely worthwhile, and I'm toying between two titles of either dumb shit PTs do or you're not a fucking physio. But I'll decide that later on. But obviously this is the trainer stuff, right? So direct people to fat loss fast lane mainly, I presume. And your email list is in there because you referenced that a couple of times in this episode. But, just Google calorie calculator and you... yeah, Google calorie calculator. And on that note, we'll leave it there. As we said before, the show notes to the mission statement of Robb's talk will be in the notes. Put him in a TED talk, and we'll get that going. But man, pleasure as always. Yeah, agreed.